the notions that were taught us, the things that we were taught was like, anything that is African is bad. Anything that is European is what? Is good. And that was the mistake. So I was really digging deep into these things, wanting to know why we do certain things the way we do them.
Right. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Today we have an esteemed guest, Reverend Dr. Levee Kadenge. Welcome.
Thank you.
For our viewers, can you introduce yourself? Tell us. Levee Kadenge.
Levee Kadenge comes from Njanja. Kunonzi kunjanja. Engildonuk. I was born in a family of 15 children. My late father, Mr. Francis Kadenge, was married to 2 beautiful wives. That's why he had such a large family. And I was born in 1953 on the 4th of March. And I am number 3 in that big family. So we grew up in Njanja, near 2 schools. So my father exploited these 2 schools. The first school was Kwenda Mission. So I did my primary from Kwenda up to standard 1 then.
Okay.
Then we switched to Warikandwa because he had moved from his original home, which is near Sadza Township, and he had gone to another area called Warikandwa, and that's where Warikandwa School was. That's where I did standard 2 and grade standard 3 and standard 4. When it was standard 5, then it was about to change from standards to grades, but I did my standard 6. That was the transitional period. I did my standard 6, and then I passed. And fortunately, my father had the means to send us to school. Initially, he was working as a tailor at Harare General Hospital, and then he moved. Actually, he left the job in the 40s, late 40s. And I think that's when he retired. So he went home and established a home with his 2 wives. And we were established in this area where we did our school. Before we went to school, we had to do some chores at home, looking after cattle, and during planting time, we would first of all go to the fields, plant, and then go to school. And all of us were given the opportunity to go to school. By then, he didn't choose between a boy and a girl. And fortunately, initially, we were 11 boys, and these were the first children. And then the last 3 were girls. And so each one of us was given an opportunity to study. And those who did well, he promised us to send us as far as Form 4. So most of us, we got our Form 4s, and that's where we ended. And some of us went for teaching, and they were sent to teachers training colleges. So, but some of us, we only did Form 4, and that was the end. But others could not make it. In families, you can't all be able to go to Form 4. Others just dropped by the way, but very few. The rest of us did so much in our schools, and we did very well. And in 1967, then I got a place at St. Mary's Secondary School, which is Anglican. That's where I did my Form 1 to Form 4, and finished in 1971. But I became very adventurous in a wrong way. As you grow, as we grow, we try to experiment. So I did the experiment on beer drinking. So I did that, and I was actually sent home from school because of that behavior.
You were expelled completely?
Yes. But it was towards the end of the school. I was in Form 3. Then I was supposed to come back during the 3rd term. And I had to come with a letter from my father explaining that I had reformed because I'd been sent home to go to reform. So I came back and with a letter from my father, and the letter was in Shona. The principal was an Englishman, Mr. Ho.
Oh.
So the boarding master had to read and translate the letter, saying that I had reformed, and then the principal took me on, and then I finished my Form 4 in 1971. And I continued with drinking after school, after I finished the Form 4. And this time around, it was worse. And the person I put in trouble was my mother. She would pray every day for me. And my brothers, she prayed for all of us, but especially for me because I was naughty.
You were the trouble child.
Yeah, I was very naughty. And my mother really was at the pains at looking at me and seeing that I was deteriorating. And we could hear our mothers, the two mothers, praying for us. Each morning they would wake up around 4 or 5 and start praying, one in her bedroom, the other one in her bedroom.
Every day.
Every day praying for us, and they would laugh and enjoy the prayers. You know? That you look at these, as it were foolish ladies, what are they doing? So my mother got affected very much, and in 1973, end of 72, I came to Harare, having had too many drinks one day, and left home abruptly and stayed in Harare in Highfield. So I had a friend who was a kind of a distant relative who stayed with me. Actually, this friend and a brother from my mother's side. So I had the liberty to choose where to stay. So I stayed at these two places 1 week, whatever, and then exchanged. Other days I'm here, other days I'm there. And towards the end of 1972, that's when I came to Harare and stayed with my relatives. And then I went to Mondoro, where my mother comes from. And I continued drinking beer. And I remember the first month of 1973, I came back to Harare. And I continued to drink beer. And then...
So how old were you?
I think I was around 1920, because I was born in 1953.
1953, okay.
Now this is 71.
Yeah.
So during that time, others were going to war. And we never heard about this whole thing at our home. It only came later. Yes. So when I was in Harare, during this January month, and I remember towards 10, 11, 12, my brother had a friend who challenged us to come to a service, church service, AFM service. And there was a great preacher there called Reverend Kupara in Highfield. So I went to this church, having been invited by a friend of my brother. So we went to this church, and the preacher preached powerfully. And then he made an altar call. The first time, there were so many people who went to the altar. And he prayed for them. Because there were so many, he didn't have any time to talk to individuals, just to pray for them en masse. And I was watching, I was right at the back. And then he made a second call. The first call, most of them were women who went there. And I said, this is the women's business.
Women's thing.
So the second one, then he made a second call. And a number of people went there, but there were fewer now because many people went the first call. Then he prayed for them. And he was a serious man. Then he said, after the second call, he made a third call. And I was still seated there, I was watching him. And something in my mind just said, move, man, stand up, go there. So I stood and went there. And I knelt down. And there were only two of us now. So this man had the pleasure of asking us what we wanted from him. With another guy. So he came to me, put his hands on my head and said, privately, young man, what should I pray for you? And then I said, all what you preached, the wrong things that you said, the people must stop, I do them. So I've just come to confess and to offer myself. And then he started praying for me. This Baba Kupara, he prayed. And then I said, no, I must stop this drinking and smoking. So I left after the prayer and I sat with my brother. And then my brother wanted me to start talking after this experience. So I said, brother, now I'm no longer going to drink. And then he said, why? I said, that man has done it.
You really felt a change?
Yes, I really felt a change. And he was very skeptical, my brother, very skeptical. He didn't trust me. And then he said, I will see. Then I went to his place. I'd left my stab, Chigusan. So I said, brother, I'm going to smoke this.
For the last time.
For the last time. He said, look, you said you had stopped. I'm saying, I know I want to finish this one. So I finished this. And that was the end.
Okay.
I never smoked again. I never drank again.
You never suffered from withdrawal?
Yeah. It
Many
was just smart.
Addicts, they struggle.
Yeah. It may be then, but I said that was my last cigarette and my last beer. A beer, I'd already drunk beer, but that day I was not drunk. When I went to church, I was very sober. But the last drink I had, that was that, and that was the end of it. And then I said to myself, what do I do now that I have stopped drinking beer? And fortunately, on Monday, we heard that there was some employment somewhere So we went there. I went there, and I was asked to come for interview. So I then went for interview, and I got the placement where they would train us to sell insurance, life insurance. So I became a life insurance salesperson or trainee, as it were, because we were trained for 3 months to do the job. So I went for the job, and I trained and worked for almost a year. But in the meantime, I asked my friend, who is not my brother, to go to church with him. Not to the AFM church where I got converted, but to his church. He was in a Roman Catholic. So I went to the Catholic church, and I was observing, and very serious, wanting to be like those ministers who were preaching to us and doing everything for us in the church. So I was so attracted to them. Just think of it, from drinking beer and and without any Catholic knowledge. I just said I want to be a Catholic priest initially. But I was baptized in the Methodist Church when I was very young at home. So I was nursing this idea of being a Catholic priest. But I had a strange vision one day when I was in my brother's room, sleeping on a bed, and strange things came in a kind of a dream. And these were strange animals and creatures. And then I said, no, I can't be a priest. Because I heard that priests don't marry. So I said, I can't be a priest.
So the dream, did they say anything to you, or it?
No. It
just happened.
Yeah, can I say dream or a vision or a whatever? It was in the afternoon. And I tried to dismiss it, but I said, no, I can't be a Catholic priest. I think this is a danger sign. So I said to myself, but I'm a Methodist. But I didn't know where the Methodist church was. So I had to ask, and I was told where it was. And I went there to New Highfield Methodist Church. And then I said, I want to be a pastor of this church. And this minister, the people who were there, did not know me. And they didn't know my past. So they just accepted me and said, are you a preacher? I said, no. And they said, the Methodist Church, they have a way of recruiting their pastors. So you have to go through that procedure. And I asked, where do they train their ministers? I was told at Epworth, and I knew where Epworth was. So I walked one day from Highfield to Epworth. to see the college because I wanted to go and apply there. And then the principal was a white man, asked me where I stay, where I live, and I told him and said, you go there. They will see the minister there, he will tell you the procedure. So I went to the minister and I was told the procedure. He said to me, they don't take just people who just walk in. We are sent by our churches. It was a college where they train ministers of various churches, about 8 churches. So I went back and then told my story to the pastor, and there were some laymen who were listening. And then I was advised that first I have to become a local preacher, which would take me another 2 years. So for 2 years, I went through the process of becoming a local preacher. But before the end of the first year, I could see that my job and what I wanted now to do in the future were not coinciding. They were not friendly. My job was demanding that I travel to many places and even out of Harare. And I wouldn't be constantly going to a particular church. So the whole year I was in trouble in my mind. What should I do? And then after this, I decided to leave my job. Having worked for a year, 3 months training, and then 9 months working, selling insurance, I left my job and went home. The idea was home, that's where my church was established, and it was here in town, but also I went to home to get some kind of an experience whereby I would be at one place and going to one church, so that I would also follow the procedures of training as a pastor. Managed to go through the process while I was at home.
Home is in Fio or is Kwasadza?
Kwasadza.
Oh, you went back to
I went back to Musha.
You went back to Musha.
Yes, I went back to
Okay.
Yes,
and how vakakutambira isei, you know, vaizviziva kuti Levee munhu anonwira pamwe nekuputa havana kuti mukomana ari kuda kuita comedy here kana kuti chii.
Yes. And my friends, I had a lot of friends there. This is where now I had a bit of a challenge, but I'd changed.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember meeting this guy saying who is from the same village a couple of weeks ago at a funeral. He was saying, hey, this man, we used to drink beer together. But all of a sudden, he was no longer drinking beer. Then, that is 1973. He no longer drank beer, and he actually bought us beer. And he never drank.
Okay.
And this man changed his life. So, surely I changed. So, yes, there were people who had doubts, but the rest didn't have doubts, especially my mother. who was praying for me.
I'm sure she was very happy.
She was more than happy. So my mother, she was more than happy because I'd changed and life went on. And the church at home was very kind, in the sense that they didn't give me a job because they didn't have job. But since we were very close to Kwenda, I went to the principal, who was white then. He asked me if I'd done some schooling. I said yes, Form 4. He asked for my certificates. I went with them. And then he said, no, you should come and teach. So I was employed as a teacher. Initially, I taught in primary school because the principal was both of the primary and the secondary school, even though the school had a headmaster. The primary school had a headmaster. He was the principal of the high school. So I got a job. I was accepted and I taught in the primary school from 74. For those years, I was teaching 74, 75, 76. Then I taught in the secondary school, at the Kwenda Secondary School. And I enjoyed teaching it. I was teaching geography, English, and the Bible knowledge. Most of my students are in Harare. They are now old. But a number is also passed on. So that's what I did during that period after I'd left the job here in town. And then when I went home, I didn't have months to roam around because the principal just took my papers and sent them to ministry, and they accepted me and I taught. And I was a temporary teacher for those years before I went for training. And then in the meantime now, I was in my second year of preaching. I joined preaching here in Harare, but I didn't do much. Then I went home and then continued at home. And I did my 2 years training. And after that, then I started candidating for ministry. Now, it was now serious. 78, I got accepted to train at United Theological College.
Yes, you are now in Epworth now.
Yeah, now it was then called Epworth Theological College. Mm-hmm. Now it's United Theological College. Mm-hmm. It is, so I went there. That was 78, 79, 80. I was doing a diploma in theology. Mm. Then 80, I enrolled for the UNISA, University of South Africa, bachelor's degree in theology, BTH. Mm. So the idea was that I would do the first year at college and then second year again at college. And then the last year I would be out. So I left the college in 1971. 1981. Mm. And by then I was married. I married in 1981. How I married is another story because, you know, I had no girlfriend initially. I did one, but I don't know, that it just melted out. And then at college, I didn't have any girlfriend. And my friend, whom I'd befriended, knew that I was a loner. So he was a year ahead of me. He was a Methodist. And he arranged that I go to his church where he had gone. And ironically, United Methodists had a college, a nurse training college in Mrewa, at Nyadire. And during the war, the college closed. And their students moved to Gweru. And my friend had been sent to Gweru to be a pastor there. So I was invited my friend to come to Gweru. He wanted me.
Who was the friend?
He was, he's late now. He's Reverend Kwenda, Victor Kwenda.
Victor Kwenda.
Yes,
okay.
yes. He is now late, unfortunately. But so he invited me there. For the purpose of wanting me to get a girlfriend.
That was the plan.
That was the plan. So he had seen where there are girls, because he was the chaplain of those girls when they moved to Gweru. So the Methodist Church hosted them at our center, the Ndlela Center. So they were training in Gweru, but living at our center, at Ndlela Training Center. So during one of the holidays, he asked me to come for holiday placement. And there I was in Gweru. And then he invited me to go and chaplain those students at the center. So he never came to the center to supervise me. He said, my friend, there are girls there. Go there and pastor them. So as I was pastoring them, it was very tempting, you know. It was like it was, and my eyes just started looking at these girls, and I chose one and befriended her, and then we became friends, and then the history. The rest is left to history.
Tell us, what did you like most about it? What attracted you?
She was very beautiful, nice hair, nice everything. She was very smart. Very smart amongst those girls. And they were all smart, but she was, to me, she was smarter. It's not that I wanted just a smart girl, but there were so many things which attracted me to her. So the rest is history. We got married, and in 1981, when I was in my final year, because you're allowed to marry while you're at the college.
Yes.
So we were in college at 1981, and then the first appointment was in Plumtree.
Yeah.
This was another challenge because Another minister had been sent there the previous year, and then went there and they came back and resigned. He was a student. Why did he resign? Because there was no home. There was no place to stay. Actually, it was our center for so many years, but for 15 years, there was no pastor there because the place was not viable. And this time around, there was war. And the minister's house, which was a very big house, had been destroyed to window level. There was nothing. It had been destroyed. So the idea of the church was...
It was destroyed as a result of the war.
Not as a result of the war, but it was actually destroyed before the war.
Oh, okay.
And then when I went there, when they sent a minister there for the first time, he was a student who went there, and then there was no house. And then he came back, he resigned the previous year. Then we were sent there the following year. And the idea was the pastor who was going there would go into Bulawayo, and the church would buy everything to go and repair this house and make it livable. So that was the idea. So my wife was already pregnant, and to stay in the conditions that were there, she was expecting a child. So we couldn't stay in that kind of environment whereby you go with the building material where there's no house, there's no toilet, there's nothing. So my wife remained and I went on my own. And we stayed there for 14 days. We were sleeping in the open.
Yeah.
The first day, we struggled with goats.
Was it during summer or winter?
Winter. Sorry, it was during summer. It was summer.
Okay.
Because we changed in January. But there's no difference between winter and the summer. Because then there are no rains. It's just, dry, just dry. So we stayed for 14 days, and after 14 days, the builders had done a marvelous job. They had repaired all these things and put the windows, the doors, and everything, including painting, and dug a toilet. They worked like they were in a hurry, and they were actually in a hurry. They did a marvelous job. And then the house was complete after 14 days.
That was fast.
Yeah, it was fast. Because everything was there. To the last nail, it was there. And they were in a very beautiful house. So I started working. But the challenge was the dissident era, 82. 82, 83, 84, we were there. So 82, 83, 82, I was doing my degree with UNISA. This was my third year, 83. So in 83, I went to write at a plum tree, and I passed all the subjects. And I finished my degree. and I was in this bush area. There were very few members. In this circuit. So we stayed there for 2 years. And in the process, we had nasty experiences to the extent that I had to write to the head of the church, who was Reverend Makusa then, that I asked for our removal from that area. And he just replied in a soft manner, just jokingly, and said, Paul went through all these things. Read your Bible. And he suffered more than you are doing then. If we remove you from there, we will never send another minister there. So just be there. So we settled. And yes, we had threats, but they never came to fruition, those threats. They were just threats. And we survived. And towards the end of 1983, I was offered a scholarship to go and study in UK. So forms were sent to me. I never applied myself. I never applied for the scholarship.
It's just an offer.
Yeah, just an offer. And I was even doubting it whether is it really true or not, because of the problems we were having. So I applied. I got the forms, filled the forms, and then sent them to UK. And then I was offered a place to go and study in Bristol from September 1984. So we left Matebele in 1984.
Were you happy?
Why not? We're getting away from problems. We were not getting any salary. My wife was the one who was working at Ndolwani Hospital. She was the one who was earning. I never got anything from Ndolwani. But then the church decided to pay half my salary. And that's what we got. Because these people could not afford. And by now they cannot afford. So it was really an issue. So the leaving that place was like God sent. Yeah. So we left. And
didn't you feel a bit sad leaving some of your followers?
Not really. Yes, no. But because it was kind of a relief. Yeah, it was a huge relief.
And how did they receive you? Someone who's coming from a totally different tribe, be it Shona.
Oh, in Matebele. That was, that's good. You know what happened? In that area, there are people who know Shona. they helped me very much. And even in my preaching, they would translate for me. But there were some areas where I would actually preach in Shona, because those people are Kalanga.
Okay. Okay.
So if they understand Shona, but they cannot speak it, because our words, like say, if you say you are hungry, you say "Ndine hala," you know. Hala. Saka
Yes.
So there were some words which we just translated themselves, and you went on like that. But it was a great formative time when we were in that area, in the sense that we really had the problems from day one up to the last day we left that place.
Yeah, just to take you back a bit, you mentioned threats.
Yeah.
Where was the biggest threat coming from?
It was coming from the soldiers. The soldiers, were, in fact, Gukurawundi, you know, it was fought by a brigade called the 5th Brigade.
Yes.
And this was a danger to us, because when they came, they accused us of staying in Matebeleden at that time, because they said, "Why are you not being killed? Why are you safe here?" It means you are selling out.
You're supporting the so-called dissidents.
Yes. And yet the Ndebeles on the other side were saying, "You are Shona and your people are killing us." So we were caught in between. So living was just like a manna from heaven.
I understand.
Yeah, it was manna from heaven. So we eventually left and went to UK to study. And we were there for 4 years.
You went with your family?
Yes. I carried my tribe there. And I also carried Nduku, Katrimbo. So in Matebere, and you just don't stay there among people without your own nobukere. So they went into the forest and looked for a nobukere for me, and gave me that a man should not sleep without a nobukere. Because if an intruder comes, you take that nobukere, you hit the intruder. So I carried with me that nobukere to UK. Yeah. So that's my first appointment here in Zimbabwe. And then when I went to UK, I was there with my family. We arrived and we were put in a program where there was orientation for us in London. And we stayed there for almost 2 weeks. And we stayed in London in a hotel. And we were trying to acclimatize, when they were trying to make us settle. And then we left for a place called Birmingham.
Okay.
That's where we were doing the orientation schooling, proper orientation. So we were there for some weeks, waiting for October to go to start our training. And we left in end of June. So this other period, we were doing some orientations and the training to acclimatize and to get to know bits and pieces of things in UK. So we trained at a place called Bristol University. That's where I was going to college. But we were staying at a place called Wesley Theological College.
Okay.
We were staying in a college where they trained their ministers. But we were only resident there. But I was going to the university for my studies.
Okay.
I did my postgraduate diploma in theology for 1 year at Bristol University. And I was also preaching. I was in a circuit in Bristol where I preached to various places in Bristol, and some preaching points around Bristol. So after a year, the idea was for me to do my master's. But while I was still at Bristol University, another challenge came in. The British are racist. Or they can be racist. But there are some who are not racist. At that time, racism was too much. And there were not many blacks there. So I was fed up. I really wanted to come home. So I said, enough is enough. I must go back home and study there at home. So
it was that bad?
Oh yes, it was bad.
What did they do? Did you call you names?
No.
Use you?
No. Right from the beginning, there is no day when you are in Britain, you cannot face a racist attack, as it were, not physically. If you meet them, they say lots about you, go home African, whatever. It was terrible. We didn't like it. And they would ask my wife where she learned English. And they asked us how come we speak English in the way we did. And we said, you colonized us. And you then ask us why. That's yeah, you did us. You did that to us. So it was not really on. So the church in Britain, Methodist Church in Britain, which had given us the scholarship, negotiated with another university, which was called Aberdeen. And we were coming from Bristol, which is in the south. Aberdeen is in the north, about 880 miles. 880
miles, not kilometers.
Not kilometers, miles. The distance between where we were and where we were going.
That's far. That's far.
So in Britain, it was kind of a mixture of so many things. Nice ones and the bad ones. The allowances we were getting there were huge for us. We were coming from Africa, we were big anyway. So we were very comfortable. We managed to buy a car there. Initially, when we arrived, After 3 months, we had already bought a car.
The difference coming from Plumtree.
Yeah. Yeah. It was huge, and culture shock and everything. The weather there is just upside down, and you are kind of confused. So for a year, we drove ourselves. Even where we're going to preach, we're driving ourselves. So there is between Bristol and Wales are close. Bristol is close to Wales. So our secretary had some societies in Wales. So we had the opportunity to go and preach in Wales. So there was a place where we went to preach where then the youngest person in that congregation was 75.
Where were the young people?
They were
They were not interested in church.
nice. So one day the members came to me and said, "We have a problem, Fundis, minister." I said, "What is the problem?" No. The problem we have here is our minister. She's only 48. And the youngest member here is 75.
That was your youth.
And, there were so many funny things which happened there. One of the elderly couple, they brought their grandchildren to church. And for that service, they were busy, these grandchildren who were toddlers, touching the hair of our children.
Oh, so something new.
Yes, and the skin.
Did not see
And even me, they tried to rub so that they can see a white skin there. They think I was faking it.
It was their first time seeing a
Yes, in this area. They looked at us in amazement. But we were going there periodically. They got used to us, and we began to appreciate the suffering we were getting. This is why we wanted to come back home. But then this arrangement was made for us to go and study there in Bristol, in Aberdeen. So the day before we left, my license was expiring, my driver's license. In UK, when you are in UK, you can drive for a year with your Zim license. After a year, it expires.
You have to convert it.
Yeah, you've got to take a British driver's license. So I had to take a license. So I enrolled with a driving school. I did some lessons, and that day I went to do my tests. So I went, and the instructor took me. I thought I've done very well since I've been driving for the whole year. So when I came back, we went into the office, and then he looked at me, and then he said, "You have failed." I said, He said, he looked at me. And then he said, no, you've passed.
I was joking.
Because I'd been driving for the whole year without anyone telling me what to do. And then you tell me that I failed.
How come?
So I got my license, and then the following day, 3 o'clock, started driving up to Aberdeen. 3 o'clock in the morning, at 7 p.m. we had arrived. 16 hours.
Non-stop.
Non-stop. Well, we were stopping, fuel refueling, and whatever. And I had issues with my cards, credit cards or buying cards, which they use there in UK. They would not accept my producing my cards. They would start looking at me from from toe to head, whatever, and saying I should pay cash. So I insisted that this is what I have. And finally they would then accept. At each garage, most of the garages, without exception, they had to ask for cash. But I didn't have cash. And they finally allowed me to use my cards. And then we were there. And for 3 days after we arrived, my legs were just swollen, and
Stress of driving.
I just could not walk for 3 days. And then recuperated, and then started school. For 2 years, I did my master's. Then after my master's, I was left with 1 year. So the British have a system of keeping to their promise. I went there for 4 years, and I must use those 4 years for study purposes.
Only.
So I had completed my master's. So they said, you have got a year left to. What should you do? So I said I want to do my PhD. So they said, you can only start it here, and then you go and finish it at home. So they said, what university would you want to go to? So I said, Edinburgh. So Edinburgh is about 250 km from Aberdeen. So I was commuting from Edinburgh to Aberdeen for the whole year. Each week on a Monday, I take my train back to school. On Friday, I'm back home in Bristol.
Wow.